On May 13th, a historic scene unfolded in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. The then President of the United States, Donald Trump, landed on Saudi soil, where he would be received with an official reception of great magnitude, marked by military ceremonies, diplomatic meetings, and, above all, the signing of an agreement that would go to history. A $142 billion contract in arms sales, the largest ever signed by the United States. This agreement, presented as a robust and strategic package, consolidated not only the sale of military equipment, but also the strengthening of the partnership between the two nations on several fronts. Shortly after the signature, the delegation's leaders revealed details that surprised analysts and international security experts. The military package covers 5 crucial areas for Saudi defense and security. The first area concerns the modernization of the Air Force and the expansion of the spatial capacity of the kingdom. In a context where air domain is vital to the defense and projection of power, Saudi Arabia now has new combat aircraft systems, as well as spatial recognition and monitoring technologies. This modernization is not limited to the supply of aircraft, but also includes the installation of advanced communication systems and state-of-the-art equipment to ensure Saudi air superiority in the Persian Gulf. The second front covers air defense and antimesis, a priority for the kingdom due to constant regional threats, especially from insurgent groups and militias supported by rival powers. The agreement provides for the provision of sophisticated antimesis batteries capable of detecting and neutralizing high-precision threats, as well as reinforcing the Saudi air defense system against possible ballistic missile attacks or armed drones. The third component of the package addresses maritime safety. Considering that Saudi Arabia has vast coastal and controls strategic passages, such as the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the modernization of its naval forces has become essential. The contract includes military vessels, maritime surveillance systems, as well as coastal defense technology, ensuring the kingdom greater control over its territorial waters and vital commercial routes for global oil supply. In the fourth area, the focus is on the safety of land borders. In an unstable geopolitical environment with vulnerable borders and asymmetrical threats, such as arms trafficking, smuggling, and infiltration of extremist groups, Saudi Arabia now has new surveillance systems, state-of-the-art sensors, patrolling vehicles, and rapid response equipment. This investment significantly expands the kingdom's ability to protect its extensive boundaries against external threats. Finally, the fifth area comprises the modernization of land forces and the updating of communication systems. Featured equipment includes state-of-the-art armored vehicles, such as the CPV-3 version of the M1 Abrams tank, recognized worldwide for its resistance and firepower. The package also includes advanced accuracy systems, such as HARS, which improve the effectiveness of military operations on various land. In addition to selling equipment, the agreement includes a robust training program for the Saudi Armed Forces, involving American technicians and military personnel who will enable the Saudis in the use and maintenance of these new systems. It is a coordinated effort to ensure that Saudi Arabia not only receives the equipment, but also able to operate them autonomously and efficiently, thus promoting the modernization of their military doctrine and raising the level of professionalization of their troops. This agreement, therefore, goes far beyond the simple sale of weapons. It represents a strategic alliance that reinforces American influence in the Middle East, while providing Saudi Arabia a qualitative leap in terms of military capacity and national security. The signing of this contract in Riyadh, amid pompous and symbolism, marks the beginning of a new stage in relations between the two countries, at a time when regional tensions increasingly require solid alliances and effective strategic responses. The impact of the agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia is not restricted to the military sphere alone. It extends deeply to the economic and technological field, configuring one of the largest cooperation packages already established between the two countries. During the same visit where the arms contract was signed, Saudi Arabia also announced billionaire investments in the United States, demonstrating that the strategic relationship transcends safety and reaches sectors such as technology, infrastructure, and energy. In total, Saudi investments reach an impressive $600 billion, especially a $20 billion injection specifically intended for the creation of artificial intelligence data centers. This movement is aligned with the Saudi view of modernization, known as Vision 2030, which seeks to diversify the economy of the kingdom and reduce its dependence on oil, betting on cutting-edge technological sectors to boost its growth and insertion in the global scenario. This large flow of investments has the direct participation of some of the largest American corporations. Companies such as Boeing, General Electric, GE, Google, Oracle, and X play central roles in established agreements, consolidating strategic partnerships that ensure not only technology transfer but also job creation and strengthening productive chains in both the United States and Saudi Arabia. Boeing's presence, for example, is critical in supplying military and civil aircraft, as well as air defense systems. GE acts in the modernization of Saudi energy infrastructure, while companies like Google and Oracle are protagonists in the implementation of data centers, essential for the development of Saudi capacities in artificial intelligence and massive information processing. The X platform, in turn, contributes to the strengthening of cyber communication and security networks, increasingly critical areas in the context of national defense. This set of agreements represents an unprecedented integration between the American and Saudi economy, reinforcing ties that exceed immediate business interests to consolidate a true long-term strategic partnership. The initiative was presented by the American and Saudi authorities as a mutual victory. On the one hand, the United States expands its influence and its economic base. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia accelerates its process of modernization and economic diversification. However, in addition to economic and technological aspects, the contract also symbolizes an important change in the political dynamics of the Middle East. The signing of this agreement occurs in a context of progressive weakening of pro-Iranian groups in the region, many of them directly involved in conflicts that threaten the stability of the Persian Gulf and the Arabic Peninsula. The military strengthening of Saudi Arabia, provided by this contract, reinforces the role of the country as a central actor in containing Iranian influence, aligning with American strategic interests. In addition, the agreement reinforces the position of the United States as the main security partner of Saudi Arabia, at a time when the region undergoes important reconfigurations. The partial removal of U.S. forces from some areas of the Middle East, accompanied by the rise of new power poles, creates the need to consolidate more robust alliances with strategic partners such as the Saudi Kingdom, which is positioned as an essential pillar of regional security. However, this realignment does not occur without political challenges and tensions. One of the most sensitive points in the relationship between the two countries is the pressure exerted by the United States so that Saudi Arabia advances in the process of normalization of relationships with Israel. This movement is part of a broader strategy led by Washington, which aims to stabilize the region through diplomatic agreements between Arab countries and Israel, as has already happened to United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. However, Saudi resistance to this normalization remains significant, especially due to the persistent conflict between Israel and Palestine, which generates strong popular commotion in the Arab world and imposes political limits on Saudi leaders. Despite the pressures, Saudi Arabia maintains a cautious position, avoiding taking steps that can be interpreted as a betrayal of the Palestinian cause, but at the same time seeking to preserve their strategic alliance with the United States. This delicate balance illustrates the complexity of international relations in the Middle East, where strategic, economic, and political interests often overlap ideological or historical considerations. The arms contract and billionaire investments, in this sense, are instruments that reinforce this relationship, but do not eliminate the diplomatic challenges that still persist. Thus, Trump's agreement and Saudi leaders should be understood not only as a commercial or military transaction, but as part of a broader movement of strategic repositioning of the Middle East, seeking to ensure their influence and contain the rivals' rise while promoting the stability of their closest partners. The $142 billion contract, signed by Trump with Saudi Arabia, also represents a symbolic milestone in the redefinition of global geopolitics by projecting the United States as an indispensable actor in Middle Eastern safety and stability architecture. The amplitude of the package, which involves not only weaponry sales, but also expert training of the Saudi armed forces, consolidates the kingdom's dependence on expertise and American military technology. The main equipment included in the agreement include air defense and anti-missile systems, considered fundamental for the protection of the Saudi territory against possible threats from hostile groups or ballistic missile attacks, especially from Iranian areas of influence. In addition, The contract includes the modernization of the country's sea abilities, reinforcing safety at strategic points such as the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea, crucial to international oil trade. Another central aspect of the package is the modernization of the Air Force and the expansion of Saudi Arabia's space capabilities. The introduction of state-of-the-art technologies and advanced accuracy systems will allow the kingdom not only to strengthen its defense, but also act more effectively in joint operations with allies. Among the highlighted systems is HARS, a high-accuracy platform that raises response capacity in conflict situations, ensuring greater defense and attack efficiency. Armored, such as the CPV-3 version of the M1 Abrams tank, symbolize the update of Saudi terrestrial forces. These vehicles represent a significant advance in the resistance and mobility of the Saudi army, which now has equipment comparable to those of the world's most modern armed forces. In addition, communication systems have been deeply modernized, ensuring interoperability with U.S. forces and other allies, which facilitates coordinated operations. This structural update of the Saudi armed forces is not only technical, but also strategic, as it expands the role of the country as one of the main guarantors of regional security. Saudi Arabia, traditionally focused on defending its territory and protecting its energy interests, now has a more active stance, capable of projecting power in areas of interest and acting in coalition missions with greater effectively. The agreement also strengthens Saudi economic position by ensuring the necessary security for billionaire investments in sectors such as infrastructure, energy, and technology. The promise to allocate $600 billion to the United States, including $20 billion for artificial intelligence-focused data centers, highlights the kingdom's commitment to diversify its economy and integrate into global innovation chains. In turn, the United States not only ensures astronomical profits for its defense industry, but also the strengthening of its political and military influence in the region. The agreement is seen by analysts as a clear response to the advancement of other global powers, such as China and Russia, who have been seeking to expand their presence in the Middle East through military and economic partnerships. In signing this historical contract, the U.S. reaffirms its position as the main ally and security supplier of Saudi Arabia, consolidating an alliance that projects itself to the coming decades. However, the agreement also generates controversy and criticism in both the United States and the international scene. Human rights organizations express concern about providing armaments to a country involved in conflicts such as war in Yemen, where Saudi military operations resulted in a high number of civilians. The U.S. Congress, although mostly favorable to strengthen the alliance with Saudi Arabia, also had critical voices, which warned of the risks of indirect involvement of the United States in regional conflicts. Despite these criticisms, the Trump government has defended the agreement as essential for the security of the United States and its allies, arguing that it not only creates hundreds of thousands of jobs in the American industry, but also strengthens containment capacity for common threats. In addition, the Trump administration pointed out that Saudi military strengthening can reduce the need for direct involvement of U.S. troops in conflict in the Middle East by enabling regional allies to defend themselves autonomously. The contract also has important implications for the balance of power in the region, especially in the context of the tensions between Saudi Arabia and Iran. By reinforcing Saudi military capabilities, the United States sent a clear message of support to the kingdom, while seeking to discourage aggressive actions by Iran and its allies. This strategic repositioning seeks to create a deterrent environment where the strengthening of Saudi defensive capabilities acts as a stabilizing factor, reducing the risk of direct confrontations. Finally, the agreement between Trump and Saudi leaders symbolizes a new phase in the strategic alignments of the Middle East, marked by greater economic, technological, and military integration between the United States and its partners in the region. With effects that extend far beyond Saudi borders, the contract will have a lasting impact on regional security, global political dynamics, and the configuration of strategic alliances for the coming years. This pact, therefore, is not only the largest arms sales contract in the history of the United States, but also a milestone in the evolution of international relations, demonstrating as economic interests, national security, and foreign policy intertwine in a complex and determining manner in the contemporary global scenario.